Hello guys. Okay, this is the first fanfiction video I've done. Hopefully this will be good, but I will start reading this chapter now. So yeah, let's start with chapter 1. Prologue, the start of a great journey. It's said that amongst every generation, children are born with innate power and gifted talent, along with this being a driving force that guides their path. Some are more so gifted from birth by being chosen as the vessel for greater power that leads to greater potential. Along with this is the higher risk of becoming a threat to those who live in the shadows, thriving off its power. As such, this is what caused the disappearance of many great races that once roamed the earth for many countless centuries. Endless wars along with endless need for control. Such is the fate of a bloody past, as the humans now rule over the world using the bountiful mana, never thinking of might lurk beneath or right next to them, along with never thinking a greater threat might rise again to cause chaos and war. That is why a child is chosen as a vessel for a power to not take sides but to balance out the world and carve his own path in the endless sands of time. Prologue over. Clover Kingdom, Noble Realm, October the 4th. It was a night time, and a very cold night in the Noble Realm of the Clover Kingdom. The winds blow all throughout as heavy snow blankets across the kingdom. Around this time most people were asleep. In a room were 5 people, and the 5 presidents' room had made names for himself as well. The first man, a man who is 27 years old and has a blue asterisk symbol on the left side of his forehead. Messy blonde hair with grey eyes. He's known as Julius Novachrono, wielder of Time Medic, former captain of the Grey Deers, and now the 28th Magic Wizard King of the Cloak Kingdom. Second is a young man of 15 years of age, who has short white hair along with purple eyes, who has a beautiful made mask with intricate designs for the upper half of the head to hide the scars from his early life. This was no other than William Wannis, wielder of World True Magic and a member of the Grey Deers. The third was a 70 years old man with black eyes and black hair with a muscular build for his age. Adorning him was a long-sleeved white shirt for the winter months and a black cloak that had his katana strapped on his back. This was Yam Sugihiro, known under the title of Destruction God, wielder of Dark Magic and a member of the Grey Deers, and now a proud father. The fifth person in this room was a beautiful young woman of 16 years of age, fairly tall young lady with blue eyes and long blonde hair, tied in a bun with only a single medium-length braid going down the side of her face. This was none other than Charlotte Rosalie, known under the title of Spina Prickly Queen, wielder of Briar and Creation Magic, and member of the Blue Rose, and now a proud mother of her child, Asta Rosalie Sukihiro. So with this said, they're all now looking upon the child of Yam and Charlotte, who decided to bring this bundle of joy into the world. The baby Asta begins to stare open his eyes, with his left being black and the right being blue. He looks around the room but focuses on the woman holding him, who is his mother, while never breaking eye contact. So now, Charlotte decides to speak to her newborn child with joy and tears in her eyes. Hi Asta, I'm your mother, and I'm so very happy to finally be able to meet you and bring you into this world, Charlotte, who has tears in her eyes, smiling at finally being able to hold her son in her arms, like she is now. At this sight between a mother and a newborn son, Vanyas turns to Yami and decides to speak now. Congratulations, Yami! I'm very happy for you both, says Vanyas with a smile. Thank you. It means a lot to me that he's here now, says Yami, with a smile of his own as Yule spoke now. Well, it's always a joyous day when you have something to protect and fight for, Yami. Remember that as long as you live, says Julius, being serious at the end towards Yami, but who nodded at the wise words only for him to continue. But you also have to remember that he'll have cool magic, so I just can't wait to see it. All the possibilities, says Jules with stars in his eyes, thinking of Asa's magic for the future. This got everyone else to have a deadpan expression towards his last statement. He's never going to stop that this is, asked Vanyas with a deadpan expression on his face along with sweat dropping at his mentor. We tried so many times, so no, this is gonna stick with him, says Yama with an eyebrow twitch while answering Vanyas with a bored look at seeing this as well. With this said, Sharks looks down at Asta and notes a change with Shark's hair. His hair turns from ash brown to golden, as does his eyes as they resemble the metal of said color. Once she noticed this, she speaks to grab their attention. Yami, come have a look at this, she shot in a very surprised tone as well. This gets the thrill to look over and see the change. Yami is shocked, along with one is wondering if this is an effect of magic, though when Yules sees it, he's not at all surprised. Is this some sort of effect from magic? What can cause this? Asks Yami, shocked as well. Do you think, says Charlotte, become a bit shocked by something that came to mind as Yami heard this and spoke quickly. No, it couldn't be that, says Yami, knowing it wasn't what she was thinking. I think I may be able to answer your question for you, said Yules, getting their attention with a serious look as he continues. I've seen this occurrence once, though never got the chance to study at the length. Anyway, this happens to certain people who have strong affinity to certain types of magic, hence which is why little Asta's hair is like this, says Yules, informing them. Do you have pinpointed guess to what the affinity is? Asked Vanyas. Well, if I'm wondering about this as well. Well, if I had to go by an ancient calendar is used in one of the many eras before our time, before the first whisking from my search as captain, as sage, this change is under the jurisdiction of dusk known as the time of earth, meaning he has a strong earth affinity, as the change only will affect him throughout the night until dawn. Known as the time of resurrection, as his hair will change back to normal. Or so the calendar goes, says Yules, just informing them of what he knows. As he said this, Jan was about to speak when a presence with a voice spoke not too far from them in the room. Very interesting, though. You're very much right, says a man in black robes with a black mask coming forth to speak again. Julius Navachrono, William Vanyas, step away from the child now. As for you, Yami Sukihiro and Short Rosalai, hand over the child with the height and mana and vessel of that power. Now! Says the masked man, only covering his lower face with the only visible pieces being his eyes. How was he able to get in here? Why didn't we sense him? For that matter, was the thought of all those present in the room shocked. As they had this thought, the man decided to speak and said, I said no, damn it! Said the masked man. Alright, just calm down, says Yami in a calm voice, will also word for his son and his wife, along with his two other acquaintances. Hehehehe, I'm perfectly calm, you should really be speaking for yourself now. I won't say it again and hand him over, or you won't like the surprise I have for all of you. Says mask maged in a very serious tone. As he said this, Vanyas is between making sacrifice to protect everyone from this man when Son appeared. Yules is calm for this part, as he's heard of such a group trying to take children and make him mold them for the gain of their own magic power. Though he didn't expect them to strike so quickly, though now he's prepared to use his timing at the perfect moment for teleportation to transfer both Yam and also to safety, and place this man in a trap by chronostasis. Yam and Sharf are both worried for Asta because they don't want to hand him over this mage for the group he works for, considering they knew as much about said group. So for now, they only have one option, do as he says, and hope Yules can put a plan into motion. Alright, no need to be hostile, says Yami in a tone of fake worry to throw off the masked mage and give the man a sense that he's cornered. Hurry up now, says the masked mage, as he thinks that he has them in the position that's favorable to himself. The minute he gives Asta over to him, the masked mage goes for his grimoire in one shift motion. The second that happens, Yules uses teleportation magic to transport them to separate locations outside the noble realm. In a cold and snow-covered field, a flash of light appears to send both Yami and Masked Mage down into the snow. Yami gets up from his spot along with the other mage from their spot. Yami looks around for a moment while visibly looking forward for the sole fact that Asta is nowhere to be seen. This makes Yami angrily speaking out to the mage before. Where is my son? Says Yami in a raged tone, along with a murderous look in his face. This makes the masked mage step back a bit, but seeing the dark magic surround Yami, Asi grew very wary, but responded all the same. I don't know, but from what I could tell, it was from your son's magic that did this, along with what he houses inside of him, says the masked mage, as well answering his question, but also noticed something from under him appear. A teleportation spell comes from right under him to appear in a large circle. Yami noticed this and is on guard with his katana out, ready to fight. Though the mage does not take any stance as he spoke again. Well, it looks like my master wants to call it back. We most likely will not meet again in the future. But your son, I will most likely see again. Though, when he's grown and more afraid of us, a shame really, says the masked man. As an icy cold breath comes off forth to show an indication that he uses ice magic. As he disappeared along with the teleportation circle, disappears with Yami putting away his sword now. As he did this, Jules and William are with the other mages, except for Charlotte considering she has gave birth today, and is being watched by magic knights. So now, William runs up to speak to Yami for an answer. Yami, what happened? And where's Asta? I was wondering what happened to the attacker and Yami's son. My son's magic transported him somewhere else in the kingdom when Linus used the spell. Damn it all! I don't know how I'm gonna explain this to Charlotte. She'll be devastated to hear this, says Yami, frustrated and overall disappointed at this turn of events, while knowing it would be hard to tell her. With this said, William had a sad expression from this as he knew how much Asta meant to the two. Though for Julius right now, he was looking at the sky moment first spoke to his former student. Yami, don't worry, something tells me we'll see him again in the future, but not for a few years, says Julius, with a smile on his face as he looks up the sky with hope. What makes you say that? Asked Julius was being a bit cryptic with how he said it. Hope and the fact that I know the spell sent him somewhere in the kingdom, Julius tells the other. 1 mile away from the village of Hosh, it is here in the woods we see a half-grown golden fox, making its way through the woods, hoping to find a place to rest for the winter months to come, as snow is coming down lightly over the area. But as the fox walks through the clearing, it hears a crying, not too far away from the area that it's currently at. So of curiosity, it goes towards its hours, and to Fox's surprise, it finds the child known as Asta crying out mostly for his parents. So as the golden fox approaches the crying infant, the child notices and calms down, trying to reach out for the fox. The fox gets close enough to the point where the baby touches its nose, and then it begins to clap and laugh out. At this point, the golden fox would pick up the baby and the blanket he was wrapped in, and start making its way out of the forest towards a village not too far away. Now at Hosh village. As the fox approaches the destination it's heading for, it finds a small basket on the way and uses it to lay the baby inside, as the fox carries the basket with its tail. So when it reaches the destination, the fox finds another child laid outside as well. Not thinking much on it, the fox lays the basket down, preparing to leave. As soon as it does, the baby reaches out for its tail, not wanting the fox to leave. So the fox licks the baby's face, getting a giggle out of the little Asta while freeing the small animal. So after the fox runs off to not be spotted in the village and to get a viewpoint not too far from the village, it watches as a man dressed in robes comes out of the small building to find both children at his doorsteps, and decides to bring them both in to his humble church. Once that is done, the golden fox walks off, back into the woods, knowing a time will come soon where they meet again while disappearing in golden wisps. Chapter 2. Hosh village 15 years later. It was currently morning in time over the village of Hosh, as the sun was high and farmers were beginning to get start for the harvesting season. Though not a small church in Hosh village, we now find a 15-year-old walking around the inside of the perimeter wooden fence of the church, making sure the wooden fence was still stable and didn't need to be replaced. This young man was known as Asta, who seemed to be enjoying the quietness of the day right now. Asta is a fairly tall young man, standing at 167 centimeters. He has heterochromia eyes, with his left being black and his right being blue. He has ash blonde hair, currently as night had yet fallen. as it was a bit long with multiple strands protruding from the headband, though he seems to be keeping only a single lone braid hanging down on the left side of his face, just like his mother. As for his build, he has a six-pack along with a chiseled out muscular build, much like his father's from younger days that fits his body. This muscular build came from years of hunting in the forest not far from Hosh. He's trading along with determination. So overall, Asta is attracted to many of the girls from around the area of Hosh and maintains a very calm attitude, with a good personality added into this. So now Asta was finishing up checking the wooden fence surrounding the church. Someone came up to ask a question while letting finish. Making sure everything is in order, Asta, asked the voice of a woman. Asta had finished what he was doing to turn around to the woman before and speak now to answer her question. Yeah, I'm just finishing up with this now, says Asta as he turned to the woman with a smile and spoke again. You need help with anything, Sister Lily? Asta asked, offering his help while identifying the woman who he is talking to. Yes, please, says the now identified Sister Lily while holding up a basket of clothes with a smile. Lily is a young woman with dark blue hair, her bangs parted to the sides, with more on the right side of her forehead and crowning the most of her right brow. She has large, kind teal eyes, lined with long lashes. She has relatively pale skin and a black beauty mark under her left eye. Lily wears a nun's habit and a gold cross on a gold braid necklace. She's one of the two people who helped in raising Asta and a couple of other kids at the church, since he was a little along with becoming a sister figure to him. As she became one of the people he wants to protect along with everyone else at the church. So now, Asta came over to help with the laundry and started hanging them for air drying. It was quiet as he went to start with no interruptions along with this work, allowing him to think about the upcoming grimoire ceremony, as he couldn't wait to get his grimoire and work towards his goal along with another at the church at his age. Currently, Asta had been doing the hanging process of the laundry for a good while, as he was in thought about how his own magic would grow once he had his grimoire, but this thought was interrupted as another boy in his camp came up with some smart and spoke. Asta, it'll be quicker if I can get the rest of the load, says the young man to Asta as he went over to Sister Lily to speak. May I help? Asked the young man to Sister Lily. Thank you, Juno, says Sister Lily, identifying the person as Juno. Juno is a young man of average height with a lean build, amber eyes and messy black hair. His outfit consists of a pitch black shirt with a high collar and long sleeves. The sleeves have brown leather that cover the wrist and upper arms. He wears light brown pants that are cut below his knees and around his waist, a pair of brown belts that cross each other. Additionally, he wears a pair of dark colored socks and a pair of boots. So now as Juno comes over to help, he uses wind-based magic to put the rest of Lord inside a dome. I start to slow down the wind-based dome, ostracize a bit to speak. You gotta show off, don't ya, Juno? Asked Asta with a tick mark amused by at this. What, irritated I want to get it faster? Asked Juno with a calm look on his face. No, it's just that you don't get the simple pleasure of doing this by hand. Magic, says Asta as he continues. Magic is not everything. You know, says Asta, reminding him that some of the stuff should be done by hand. With this said, one of the younger kids spoke while lighting fire above his fingers. He spoke to light something. Give the rest, Asta. You know who has continued to be like that, and plus there's no waste and no chance against him, says a young boy known as Nash. Is that right? And if I'm correct, didn't me and Juno's little challenge end in a draw? Asked you. Asta, making sure they remember that much. Asta and Juno were both left at church when they were infants, and practically become brothers growing up together. They both seeking to become Magic Knights while achieving the ultimate goal of becoming the Wizard King as well. So now Asta turned to Juno with a grin, replacing his calm look as he spoke. So you wanna go right now? Asked Asta, looking for a challenge now. Not today, says Juno, declining the chance as continued. It would be a waste of time, says Juno calmly. More like waste of time to pull you away from brooding all day, says Asta under his breath while looking away. So with this said, someone slammed open the front doors of their small church to come over to the group outside. This got their attention as they looked out to see a man dressed in robes as he spoke. Now, you two, no need to start getting all riled up right now, just wait a bit longer, says a man known as Father Orsi. Orsi is a middle-aged man with short grey hair and typical priest attire. He's also the man responsible for raising both Asta and Juno for all these years at the church, though at the same time he was very hopeful in both boys become Merrick Knights in the near future. So now Sister Lily came to speak up on what Orsi just said. That's right, the wording of the grimoires is coming up. Once you both have them, things will change the future for the better, says Sister Lily with a smile. This got both of the boys to nod while Asta was in thought about it looking out in the distance. Finally, I can expand my magic further and get closer to my goals, thought Asta, eager to finally get his own. As he turned to Juno with a calm look and spoke. You're eager as well to get your grimoire, aren't you, Juno? Asta asks with a calm smile on his face. Juno looks at him for a moment without saying anything, only to close his eyes before turning to walk away. Everyone watched this as this interaction, as Asta didn't seem fazed by it, but at the same time he's wondering what Juno's deal was, as he'd been acting like this for quite some time. Though Asta did sigh a bit before deciding to hop over the wooden fence and walk off to a certain destination in mind before speaking for a final time. Alright, I'm off. I'll be back later today, says Asta as he walks off. With this said, it leaves a word Sister Lily to think about the time when things really changed, and how Asta threw himself further into harsh and unforgiving training, and how Juno stopped crying after that day. Later that day, on sunset, as the sun sets on Hush Village, we find Asta in the skull of the demon that the first Witch King defeated in his time when he was still alive. It is here that Asta either comes to meditate or train with his magic. As best as he could in peace, he finds a quiet place like this best to clear his mind when doing so, as he was currently doing an exercise. His hair and eye color had turned to the color of gold as it always did, proving it was now dusk, the time of Earth, so now Asta is doing one-arm handstand push-ups, while also being close to finishing. 998, 999, 1000! Asta says Asta, finishing his exercise to jump off his hand and stand up fully. Phew, well, I'll start upping the set soon enough in the future, in order to rush or overwork myself by going up a level, says Asta to himself while wiping some sweat off his face. Once he was done with that, Asta began to drink water from a canteen. Soon after, he gets up to stand once more in a stance. This time to begin moving through the motions of fighting style he came up. As he stood there, going through the stances and attacks over and over for a while, takes in air for breathing as he remembers a flashback of him and Juno bumping fists, but he also gets a headache and sees in a vision of someone with blonde hair but the face is disoriented. That memory, thinks Asta, knowing that this has plagued his dreams and mind for some time and for so long too. As he had this thought, Asta decided to pull out the necklace that he wore all the time, but kept tucked away for the most part, as Father Orsi said it was found with him the day he arrived at church. The necklace made of a gold-colored chain and black magic stone, which has a blue-colored rose attached to a small vine, and had gold 4-pointed stars at each corner. Mother, thought Asta as he continued to look at the necklace. Asta had a thought in wondering if the woman was his mother, while shedding a few unconscious tears at the thought, to notice them and quickly wipe them away as he spoke. No matter what it takes, I will achieve my goal, along with fighting my parents, says Asta, with a calm voice, but serious tone of determination. With this said, Asta went back to training, fully doing what he could to prepare himself for the Grimoire acceptance ceremony. March, Grimoire Tower. As March is in full bloom, Asta and Juno, along with everyone else at the church, come to see them receive the grimoires. Once a year, those who have reached the age of 15 gather to receive the grimoire and increase their magic power, as it is a great achievement for anyone. So now, Asta breathes in while getting his nerves together as he waits patiently with a thought. The moment of truth is now, thinks Asta with a now relaxed look as he was waiting patiently for the ceremony to start, along with Juno not standing far from him. As both boys waited patiently for summer to start, they both picked up on the last bit of conversation between the two arrogant young men their age, who were also there to receive the grimoires. Could it be any shabbier? We shouldn't have to give grimoires to anyone who just walks off in the streets. Make me sick to my stomach, says the first boy with a snicker. You don't need to think the pathetic creature would be foolish enough to attempt to make entrance exam in 6 months, do you? Asked the second arrogant boy with a smug grin on his face. Only high-ranking nobles and royalty have enough magic power and prowess to pass the exam. See the one with ash-blonde hair? A hair's magic that makes plants bloom along with a side effect to his hair at dusk, says the first of the two while Austin didn't bother to acknowledge their presence. Oh really? Then we should take special care of him because he is one of a kind. A freak with weak magic such as him in the whole kingdom, says the second with both of them snickering. Austin Udo paid no mind to the comments, as they didn't really care. In Austin's mind, it was very clear, that they were very arrogant, most likely due to the background and the way they were raised. It was one of the few things Austin hated about the kingdom, the nobles and medic knights, letting those who live on the outskirts of the kingdom fend for themselves instead of helping the whole kingdom as a whole. For him, it was a really sad sight to see, which is why he wants to become the Witch King so that he can end such neglect. So now, Asta's thoughts were brought away from this eternal topic of his own as the Tower Master had come to give his opening speech, talking about walking down on a new path, wishing them the best of luck. As he continued, he finally said the final words Asta had been waiting for, while Yuno looked dull. Ahem, and now to accept your grimoires, says the Tower Master. The moment the Tower Master said this, grimoires of all kinds started floating down to people to accept them, and some people took a look at them while making comments on size and number of pages. Asta noticed his hadn't arrived yet and decided to be patient in waiting for it as he spoke. Just wait for a bit, it'll be there, says Asta under his breath. Soon, with his patient path taken by Asta, he noticed a moment later that a bright light started to engulf the tower. He looked over to see the Yuno had got chosen by a powerful grimoire, at that a 4-leaf clover grimoire. As everyone was in awe by the scene taking place, one person in the background had a smirk on his face as everyone thought about how a 4-leaf grimoire shows the first Wizard King. Such a grimoire of this caliber is not imbued with tremendous power, but also good luck, and it belonged to Yuno. So as the light died down, the grimoire fell into Yuno's hand for him to get a grip on it, as he turned to face the crowd to speak with a serious look on his face. I will become the Wizard King, says Yuno with determination in his voice as the crowd is utterly shocked along with gasping, as well as such a declaration. Everyone continues to look on, except for Asta, who just listens. The crowd then cheers at how amazing it was. The cheers continued for a good while, as many had got to see such a display, though this would not be the last of it. Just as cheers died down, a bright light engulfed the room again, but even brighter than the last as a grimoire came floating down in front of Asta, while also proving to be a 4-leaf clover grimoire, as well, with everyone utterly shocked again, including Asta. Why? Wait, he got one too? Asked a shocked young woman to see it. This is interesting, says the Tower Master. Why does it seem like his grimoire is almost breathing life into the room? Asked a young man to seeing this. The power coming off it is immense, says Father Orsi. The grimoire also receives is similar to the grimoire that of Yunos and the first Wizard King received, though it's a different color. The grimoire's overall color is a beautiful white. The gold-colored 4-leaf clover insignia at the center of the front cover is surrounded by a gold sun-like insignia and intrigued in ornaments around the borders that represent golden-colored briars, with blue roses surrounding in black energy, as earth elements insignia are inside at the 4-leaf corners of the briars. Though the pages of the grimoire seem to be made of some sort of loose gold that was made into fine pages. So now Asta decided to open the grimoire with a wave of his hand. As for what came next was an even greater surprise. In his hand first was earth magic. As for the second, it turned to become dark magic. Then it went to light magic as a third, for which was very rare. After that it went to bright magic. 4 different magic affinities, and all of them very powerful. So now Asta powers down the magic to close the book and turn to leave the tower now, as people make way for him to do just that as he spoke. One step closer, only one small step, says Asta, speaking on his path to himself. slowly as he went into full, leaving the tower now. With this said and done, everyone out of the tower and make their way home. As everyone was doing so, Juno noticed Asta hadn't acknowledged him, most likely considering how he was acting for a while towards him. Though on the other hand, he had a person leaving to spoke to himself in amusement. Hehehe. Well, isn't this extraordinary? Two boy wonders, and from a sleepy little village too, says the man with a crazed look in his eyes. Demon Skull, horse. After the whole Grimoire acceptance ceremony, Asta came here to be alone, while also making sure he wasn't followed. So now he was going through the golden pages of his grimoire that had words written in white, glowing letters that was from the light medic. He noticed some of the spells were not all that advanced yet and would need much work. Though, now as he sat on the rock inside the skull, he sighed a bit and spoke to himself. I'm taking a little bit break here, I need to relax a bit. And no, I check in the chat, and no, this is not a 18 plus. Just so you know, I just need a little break. Resting my voice. I'm speaking for, 30 minutes now. Okay. Okay, let's resume. Well, I've got a grimoire and a powerful one at that. Though, for one, that thing, it doesn't change the fact that I need more training. Hard training at that, says Asta, remembering Yuna's declaration at the tower. It's easy to say those words, but it depends on how far you want to go, and I will be going far, to become the Worst King, says Asta, yelling the last part at the end with a smile as he jumped off the boulder. As he did this, he noticed the rock shifted slightly with the sound of doing so when he landed. He turned to notice an opening where the shift was and spoke in shock. What the? Says Asta, seeing it now in shock as he never knew something like this was here. So up seeing this, as he went to use his strength from years of training to push the boulder out of the way, full to find a hidden staircase leading down. It has actually piqued his interest further down, as he went to use a light spell to see as he went down inside to explore it himself. Going down, Asta had thoughts about his hidden staircase as he spoke to himself. I wonder if anyone knows about this being here, asks Asta to himself as he made his way further down the staircase. As Asta headed further down the staircase, he came into a large chamber-like room to notice there was nothing inside from what he could see in front of him. So taking this as needing more light to spell even further, he decided to add more magic into his light spell to see the entire chamber now. By doing so, he took notice that there was some gold altar at the center with all kinds of writing along the surface that looked like ancient art. Asta couldn't explain, but it felt something pulling him towards him for a reason. Then, getting closer and closer, he took notice of that a heavy dust opened upon the golden altar, and decided to wipe the dust off the top that they had gathered on it for some time to see some intricate markings relating to nature and earth. By the center is a place where he can place his hand inside. That also seems to be used for fueling magic inside it. So while looking at it for a bit and studying the entrance, Arthur decides to place his hand inside and funnel his magic into it. I'm taking a large gamble on this, so let you see where it goes, says Asta as he decides to funnel his own magic into the altar. By doing this for a couple of seconds, nothing happened as Asta was beginning to have thoughts about the altar being broken. But just as he was about to remove his hand, a mechanism inside the altar seemed to lock his hand in place, keeping him locked as the markers across the altar glue a golden color. The next thing Asta knew was that a bit of mana was being funneled inside his body while erasing something from the altar that shocked him. When the altar is unlocked by Asta, it releases some sort of translucent gold energy that comes together, forming a large figure that speaks tired and groggily as they're still forming themselves to take a human form but large in appearance. Ugh, how long I've been lying dormant in this altar, says the voice, a figure asking in a tired tone as they now have the appearance of a person while rubbing their head. The figure rubs in his head for a bit to look around and sees Asta below him, whose hand was free from the altar now with wide eyes. The figure then looked upon Asta for a few moments to notice that his hair and eyes were the color of gold, for which the figure immediately knew the reason and had wide eyes. So now getting serious and is clearing his throat, the figure decides to speak now with a serious tone. So, it would seem you're my chosen vessel, though it seems that it took a lot of time for me to be chosen by proper vessel to be released. Says the figure speaking as he continued. Tell me, what is your name? Asked the figure calmly, waiting for an answer. This got Asta to be brought out of shock by the question and decided to speak. Well, a little bit nervous. It's Asta, says Asta, introducing himself with a bit of a stutter in his voice. Asta, huh? Says the figure, now knowing name, decided to speak and to introduce himself to the boy. Well, considering you have introduced yourself by my request, it's only right to introduce myself as well. Says the figure as he then spoke with a much vigor in his voice as he continued. I'm someone who is renowned among humans for this wealth, and among many different races for having a highly apathetic nature in the past. Over this jurisdiction of the nature and power of the earth, I am known as the god Kubera. Says the now identified Kubera. Kubera takes the appearance of a handsome young man dressed with a black robe that reaches his ankle of his body. His hair is longer as it is reaching his hips, while maintaining the same gold color as Asta, but his is permanent now. His hair also seems to have a gold-like, free-flowing nature to it, while looking to be made of precious metal itself as seems to flow of him like water. I've said it before, no it's not. But yeah. So yes, now, okay, I'm gonna record it. Just type of the chat. So now Asta is not only shocked by what Kubera says, but also is confused as he speaks to the man now. Kubera? I never heard of a god by that name, says Asta, being honest while shocking Kubera at the same time. Wait, what? What do you mean you never heard of a god by that name? Just how long have I been laying dormant inside that altar? Asked Kubera, thoroughly shocked. It became clear to Kubera that something was not right, so decided to do something, while getting serious look as he held out his hand. Return, says Kubera in a voice of power, as wisps of gold come to the forward to create a fox, which shocks Asta into speaking as he continued looking at it. Why am I getting a feeling that I've met this fox before? Asked Asta, seeing this as he was having a sense of déjà vu. With Kubera speaking now, you may have encountered this little one in your past sometime before. I made this little fox to stay outside in the world while I slept. The purpose was for it to see and learn as much as it could, so that when I was released from being dormant, I wouldn't be so far behind from what the current world is like or would be like, says Kubera, leaning down a bit. As he did this, the golden fox came over to sniff his hand, only to lick it and merge with him, again while giving back a very small bit of his power, while giving him an extensive knowledge of how the world has progressed and what it's like now. As he saw the memories flash in his mind, he became greatly shocked by what has happened in the past countless centuries, along with how humanity has fallen since the first Witch King rose to power, along with his seeing much more. So upon learning and catching up to the world, he sighs a bit while rubbing his face as spoke. So Troll have become weak with time since the Great War, along with having to use a last bit of our great power in trying to seal them away, as we now are considered spirits due to not having the power we once had. Says Kubera, speaking to himself out loud with a sad expression on his face, as he continued, not to mention that most of the races that once lived are either now gone or are the ancestors of most humans living today. Says Kubera, now releasing the great truth. This got Asta to become even more confused, as it became clear that whatever Kubera learned must have not been good, or seemed to also devastate him. So now Asta decided to speak and try to get the man's spirit up. Hey, let's not try to dwell on the past, right? Now, alright? Asked Asta, while getting Kubera's attention as he continued. I'd also like to ask a question. You said you were a god, right? I take a quick look at chat and know this is not the first time I'm live. Yes, I am. or was, but to put it in the best words of how things are now, I'm more so a spirit for a person to use what is called spirit magic, or in my case, transcendent spirit magic, due to being a former god, says Kibera, surprising Asta as he continued with a nervous chuckle. But there's a problem. I kind of split most of my power away from myself and sealed away, where else safekeeping, hehe, says Kibera, shocking at the end. Hold on. Right back.
Funkar det?
Okay, I'm back. Sorry if you heard that. I just gotta sit in my room. Yeah, before I paused, but there's a problem. I kind of split most of my power away from myself and sealed away somewhere else for safekeeping. Hehe, says Kibera, shocking at the end. This got Asta to become shocked by what he was said and speaking out. What? Why do you split the power away and seal it off somewhere else? Asked Asta. As he continued with another question. Do you even know where it is? Asked Asta, wondering if the spirit even knew where it was as well. No, I do not, and the reason is because of time. So much time has passed that landscape has changed, and it would only be a waste of time in searching for it. So it's better to wait for it to pop up in time, not to mention the vigor, or as you people like to call it today, mana, is much more plentiful than it was during the time before my sealing, says Kibera, explaining. So, you'll get your power back? Asked Asta. Slowly, yes, but I need to rest due to the long-term effects of the sealing altar, says Kibera as he continued. The other reason was because I was being hunted by some unpleasant forces that I and many fought against during the major conflict that happened before me being sealed here. So as of now, and in the near future, you'll be doing a lot on your own with the abilities you have, as I can only guide you in terms of strategy for the time being, says Kibera, letting Asta know ahead of time. What are you talking about? Of course I'm gonna rely on my own strength for the most part, says Asta, being enthusiastic now. This got Kibera to smile and nod at such determination of Asta wanting to prove himself with his own skill. So now Kibera got serious and spoke again. Now, from what I was able to learn, you have 4 different types of magic, with certain ones being stronger than the other. Though your Brian magic explains why you were chosen vessel from birth, considering it's a magic that falls under earth and nature, says Kibera, having a thoughtful look on his face. But what do you mean, like attributes? Asked Asta, curious about this. Precisely. As you know, most of your magic today is hereditary, which you get from your parents, and that can either be mixed or separated, along with another being birth attributes that are added. Upon this, as most of the people named today have forgotten about this and seem to be not use it anymore. So I know that what you have, if I go by the old calendar, says Kibera, informing us as he continued. Explaining this to you now will help you get a better grasp of what you're capable of, kid. This got Austin to become a bit more intrigued, as the boy knew he never had an angle of what his magic attributes were, and just winged it when using it. That changed when he got to Scrummer today, confirming the types of magic he has in his possession. So now Asta looked up and spoke again to ask a question on this. Alright then, what hereditary magic do I have then? Asked Asta, curious. Briar magic and dark magic, along with light magic, but that may have come from a relative of yours who long passed, says Kibera, as he had thought. I may not know who his parents is, but when a spirit finds a vessel, they know how to differentiate what magic they inherit. Though this light magic is still a head scratcher. I'll put it aside for now. After all, it's better to let this unravel, not be in such a rush, thought Kibera, as Asta brought him out of his thoughts by speaking. Okay, I've got that down, but it doesn't explain exactly why I have earth magic as well, says Asta, letting the spirit know of his knowing of this as he spoke now. You have an affinity for earth, a strong one. At that, considering when you have hair and eyes turn to gold at the time of earth, your strength doubles, as I assume you've noticed, says Kibera. In a matter of fact, tones Asta know the friend to continue. That effect is because of me, along with your Briar magic that falls under the category of an earth attribute, and with the birth attributes added into the equation, says Kibera, informing him of this. So, what are they, and how are you able to determine them? Asked Asta, curious while wanting to know. Well, if I go by the old calendar of a previous time, and now attributes were determined before, Your birth attributes fall under Earth, Creation, and Darkness. As you were born on the 10th month of October, which is October, for which I was the former patron of, means you have a Strength and Earth attribute. Along with being born on the 4th, which falls under the Creation, and considering everyone can use Creation-based magic with their Grimoire, yours will be a bit more advanced in art of speaking, says Kubera, as arrives at the final attribute to speak on it. Lastly, you were born around the time between 2 and 4 am, which falls under the Darkness, meaning you have a strong affinity for it, says Kubera, finishing. Asta now had a full grasp of where strength would lie at, along with where to start in terms of training if you want to become a part of Magic Knights in the coming months for when the acceptance exam starts up. It also meant he was going to throw himself into immense training to be fit into being accepted as well. So as he was about to speak, he heard a scream from above that managed to catch their attention immediately. Kubera decided to speak in a serious tone now to Asta. We'll pick up any more questions you might have later. For now, other side in your body. Well, more specifically in your subconscious. So go, says Kubera, as he disappeared the gold earring that went to Asta. With this done, Asta turned now to leave the chamber and head back up the staircase to the surface, with the purpose of heading in the direction of the screams he just heard. Now I'm taking a little bit pause, so I need to rest my voice. Okay. Man, it's fun doing this actually. I read for almost an hour now. Okay, I'm soon back. I'm just gonna do this. Here we go. Somewhere not far from Hush Village. As Asta was nearing the area where the screams came from, he could hear a conversation beginning. As he slowed down and kneeled to a knee not to be seen. When he did this, he noticed there were two others, along with Yuno, Shin, but put aside for the moment to listen to the conversation. What do you want? Who are you? Asked Yuno, restrained by chains made of magic. As Yuno asked his questions, the man chuckled as he decided to speak. I suppose a village spy wouldn't know. Not too long ago, I was relatively well known in the Magic Knight squads by the name of Shen Medic Revchi, but now I am a humble thief due to being expelled from their illustrious ranks, says the man known as Revchi, as he continued. A grimoire can only be used by its chosen master, but there are plenty of black market collectors who would pay a price for a 4-leaf clover, says Revchi continued. You're just chosen, so you're no threat to me. Your letter is over before it even began. And once I find the other boy, his girl will be mine as well, says Revchi, holding Yuno's grimoire with a smug expression. As Revchi was about to go for Yuno's necklace, Asta decided to make himself known as he spoke and went into action as well. Hold it, says Asta, yelling as he went to the jump and land to the next wall, over in the outside corridor, only to jump down gracefully. As Asta stood up fully from a graceful jump, he could sense that this man's mana was large enough to possess a threat. Along with being a former Magic Knight meant his chance of winning was slim. While he was analyzing the opponent for a moment, Kubera was watching the scene unfold from witness within his vessel to see how this would unfold as Asta spoke. So you're after mine and Yuno's 4-leaf grimoire, huh? Asked Asta, already knowing what was going on with a glare. Asta, says Yuno, shocked that he would be there, along with the feeling that power coming from him as well, thought. All showing up at the right moment, huh? Thought Yuno, with a tiny smile on his face that no one could see, but was also a bit on the edge considering the man was after his and Asta's grimoire. Well, isn't this a threat, the other boy wondered? I can kill two birds with one stone now, considering you came to me. This makes it easier to take your grimoire, says Revchi as he snickered at the end. If you think taking my grimoire will be easiest for you, then you're sorely mistaken, says Asta, speaking calmly as grimoire levitates in front of him. Is that so? Asks Revchi, still keeping his smug attitude. It is, says Asta, being short with his answer while taking a stance as he continued. Now that grimoire belongs with its true master, So you can either give it back to Yuno, or I can kick your ass and take it from you myself, says Asta, getting to the point. Hehehe, if you really think that kind of reasoning will get you anywhere with me, then you die, says Rauchi, with a sadistically smug grin. As his grandmother turned to page and glowed, Yuno realized that what Rauchi was about to do and spoke out yelling, Asta, run! Says Yuno, yelling at his foster brother in urgency. This only got Asta to be on guard further and prepared to attack now as he spoke. Like hell, says Asta, as he runs forward in speed. Rauchi sees this and sends iron chains towards Asta. As they come forward at Asta for an attack, he dodged them only to realize that they were all moving to wrap around his waist. So he drops to the ground, spins around and maneuvers his body to get to his feet. As he dodges this little trap, he pushes forward, getting close to Rauchi, and rears his fist back, only to send it into his gut, while most likely cracking two ribs. From this punch, the force of the blow sends Rauchi rolling across the ground a bit as Asta presses on. I told you I'll be taking that, Asta yelling as he moves closer for another attack. Unlikely, brat, says Rauchi, yelling anger and the pain as his grandma turns to another page for attack. Shane creation magic. Dance of the pitiless viper, says Rauchi, creating several chains which he manipulates and hurls them in the direction of Asta. I saw the chains coming towards and he knew there was no way of dodging them. As did Kabera, watching from inside his vessel. Tips of the chains manifested into snake heads, which then attacked Asta from multiple directions at the same time as the force behind the attack sent Asta to the wall behind him, with some of the crumbling down. So now Asta was in a bit of pain, as he was sitting there with Rauchi walking over. Damn it, I may have gotten some hits on him, but he took advantage of his weakened state for me to believe I was winning. I was careless. Are all the mages further in on the way to Cabal's power this powerful like him? I may have done what I can, but it's enough. For Asta, as he was struggling to move at the moment. Well, Rauchi was back up fully while walking over to Asta, as he then summoned more chains from the wall and the ground to restrain Asta, even if he could still move. So now Rauchi gets his smug attitude back and speak. What a wonderful display of utility, says Rauchi, clapping his hands slowly as he went over to place his foot on Asta's left shoulder. As he continued speaking, since you tried so hard and came up short in your little fight, I'll tell you something. I can tell exactly how much magic power a person has through these chains, and your magic power is very high. I'd say I'm par with some of the mages in the capital, but it doesn't do you any good if you don't have the means to use it properly with spells along with such rare magic, says Rauchi, informing Asta of that. Damn it all, I just got my grimoire, but I didn't have the necessary time to train in using them properly. He's right about that. For Asta, as realized it now as Rauchi spoken. During that ceremony today, you got your grimoire, and maybe one more powerful than your friends, and honestly, I never expected someone like you to exist. Thinking of you then and now, I can only think of you as pathetic. It's funny considering your friend over there is probably making fun of you the whole time, says Rauchi, chuckling a bit. Screw this asshole, just because Yuna had a clear understanding of what kind of magic he had, doesn't mean he's better than me. Plus, if I'm being chosen by powerful grimoire means determination determines the skill, then you're surely mistaken. I also don't care if I'm an eyesore. At the end of the day, I fight for a purpose, for Asta, clenching his hand a bit. It'll take years before you can do a damn thing in this world. Just give up on everything. And you ever thought you could be in this world? You were born a loser with luck, says Rauchi, shouting now. The minute the words came from his mouth, Asta was thrown into anger, as it was all focused on Rauchi, as now gritted his teeth. I refuse to lose, especially at a burst like this. Who thinks he can talk to me? How he likes in such a way, thought Asta, now gritting his teeth a bit as he grabbed Rauchi's ankle and clenched his hand down on it. Hey, who the hell are you calling a loser? Asked Yuna while catching Asta. Rauchi's attention as he continued. He's... Flashback. That's mine, give it back, says a young man. Says a uniton man who had taken his necklace from him while on the verge of tears. Not anymore. I get a nick chunk of change for this, says the man, holding it out in his hands with a chuckle. Give me back my... begins Yuna, but is kicked over harshly. Shut up, says the man while kicking him into the snow. Hard as he continued. Respect your bears, you brat. Fight like you doesn't deserve something as fine as this, says the man with a harsh, sadistic grin. Just give it back, says Yuno while getting up in a bit of pain. It's mine, says Yuno, now standing up with tears running down his eyes. As he brought his hand and said, give it back, says Yuno, with a wind running in his hand. Discarding the man to laugh in amusement said, you gotta be kidding. Am I supposed to be timid by a puny kid and his puny spell? Asked the man, not at all intimidated, but Yuno continued. You fight with me of that, and you die, says the man, now being serious with a cold look in his eyes, as vein popped up on his face. This got Yuno to become very scared, as more tears poured from his eyes, though it stopped when the man was viciously and harshly punched in the rib area. As the man felt at least 3 of his ribs break from the force, it sent him back a bit while fumbling in the snow as he spoke. Someone spoke. Yuno, stop crying and stay back, says from a voice of Yuno, to open his eyes and see a golden-haired Asta. The man slowly looked up to see the newcomer, as he was having a hard time getting up from the blow. Another brat, asked the man, now angry, as Asta looked at him, with the coldest look that even the man didn't think was possible for a child like him. Your face. It pisses me off, says Asta with a cold voice. It made the man flinch, with even Yuno flinching a bit as he continued. Not only that, but I can smell the alcohol on your breath. I don't care what your intentions are here, but if you don't give back that necklace back to my brother, then I'll take it from you, says Asta, not even joking around. Like hell, I'll... Begins the man only to receive a hard punch to his face that knocked out some teeth as well. As this happened, Asta followed up with an uppercut to the man's jaw. He landed on his feet to rush in again for an attack. You should have listened, said Asta, angry as he rushed in. The man recovered just enough to send a punch towards Asta's face, which sent him rolling across the ground for a bit. Asta was a bit of pain as he got up to feel something dripping in his face somewhere. He put the hand near his nose to find blood becoming fully interfered now, and had no qualms with holding back on a guy like this. You're dead, says Asta, now fully angry with a calm look on his face. Ha 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 ha! Really? Then let's see you, begins the man again, only to find a punch to his nose, most likely was broken now. As the man felt to sneeze in pain, he held his nose with his free hand while still holding the necklace in his other hand, as Asta went to send a kick to the man's head. This sent the man to roll a bit to the side in the snow, while on his back Asta went to jump up and bury his feet into the man's stomach, effectively making the man spit blood. Asta went to jump on the man's chest and then send multiple punches towards the man's face, with a calm but angry expression as he relentlessly attacked the man with his increased strength. Yuno continued to watch as all this happened in front of him, with some sort of shocked face that made him look frozen, as tears spilled down his eyes. He had seen Asta become angry at times for good reason, but this was all new due to the fact that he had never seen him go into such fury. For the next few seconds, Asta continued to punch the man in his face with blood in his hands, but stopped when he heard a weeping from the guy for who he was beating on. Please, stop. You can have the necklace back. You stop already, says the man, weeping from the pain. Asta for his part was shocked, but was shocked but replaced with calm and anger as he spoke. Tears, seriously? Asta asks Asta short. Pathetic, you're the one who started by stealing from a kid. I'm only finished it, says Asta young, while bringing his fist down to the man's face for a final time, forcing the man to fall unconscious now. The man's hand came free from holding Yuno's necklace, allowing Asta to get off the man's body to pick up some snow and use it to get the blood off. He then went over to the necklace to pick it up and walk away with Yuno while handing it to him. For the next few minutes it was quiet on the walk back to the rest as Yuno spoke. Now, thanks Asta, says Yuno, crying while shaking his foster brother. Crying while shaking his foster brother for any major injuries as he spoke again. Are you alright? Asked Yuno, wanting to make sure. Yeah, I'm fine, says Asta. This was fully calm now. If magic is what makes the world move, then it's really pathetic. Unlike most who live in these parts of the kingdom, I refuse to be at the bottom. We may be poor, we may be orphans, we may have a little magic right now, we still make our path out to the world, helping others no matter the status and no matter what background, says Asta as he continued. Which is why I'm gonna start at the top one day. I'll take the title of the Wizard King, says Asta, determined with a smile on his face. This got Yuno to be a bit shocked with his wide open as he thought about something and came to a decision of his own as spoke now to Asta. I'm never going to cry again. I've decided to, he said. As he continued. I'll do it too. I'm going to become the Wizard King, says Yuno, determined. Really good, done well, begins Asta on what they'll do from now on. He's the one that gave me the courage to take the first step into my path. No matter how far ahead we moved, we would always be right there, toe to toe. He may get angry along with many other things, but he was never one to stray away from his path. You have a way of making the possible possible, Fortuna remembering the past a bit. And a flashback. It was because of that same determination for never giving up that I, Fortuna spoken. He's no loser. Asta is my rival, says Yuna, declaring the fact. Cause Asta snapped his head over to him a bit from hearing this. Oh? Asked Revshi a bit amused as he then felt pain come from his ankle. Asta clenched his hand down upon the leg. He put on the boy's shoulder. I'm not down, says Asta, yelling, as he used the other punch to punch Revshi back. He used his other hand to punch Revshi back. Urk. Ugh, says Revshi, grunting in pain as he managed to be pushed back from Asta. Sorry about that disgraceful display there, you know. Just give him a few seconds and then I'll destroy this bastard, says Asta. Something strange begins to happen while getting Kimber's attention as well. This energy, just as suspected, for Kimber with a serious look. As this photo came, the air was flooded with dark aura, as a dirty and beat-up grimoire surrounded in red energy appeared to float in front of Asta. This shocked Asta along with everyone else there, that he got two grimoires. While this shock happened, the grimoire opened and summoned a dirty covered broadsword. Asta decided to pick it up but noticed a sudden change. The leaves of a clover are said to each contain one thing. In the first breed dwells integrity, hope, and love. So it negates magic, like sounds of anti-magic? Okay, let's get this done, thought Asta, as he felt his magic still there, but cancelled out at the moment he held the sword. As this happened, Revshi was having a panic attack about his occurrence, with a thought as he stepped back in further fear as he dropped Yuna's Gamar. What the hell is going on here? His medical power has seemed to grow, but at the same time it just vanished. It seems like he can negate it whenever he wishes, thought Revshi in total fear now. The fourth leaf is giving over to good luck. Revshi sees the two souls behind Asta on each side. The one on the left looks a person of power of earth and nature, and one on the right side is some kind of horror figure that looks to be a demon. And in the fifth, there lies the devil. This scared Revshi even further now as he spoke in now with full-blown fear, not being able to comprehend what he's seeing. Professor, what the hell is going on? How could you get a Sacred Grimoire and that sword? Just what kind of freak of nature are you? Asked Revshi, yelling out. As he did this, Revshi sent an arrowhead-tipped chain towards Asta, and he yelled fear while attempting to pierce him, and end his threat out of fear. For Asta's part, he saw it coming and reacted with his medic, or for two spells. I'm weighing these spells in his hand for his Grimoire to turn to a certain page. By having such a powerful magic along with strong birth attributes, Asta was able to come next. Not only that. Light creation magic. Light wall, says Asta, holding out his hand for a spell to come forth while casting another spell. Light magic. Light source of conviction, says Asta, making swords of light in preparation of his strategy. As he did this, a light wall appeared in front of him, along with swords of light ready as well. When the arrowhead chains hit the wall, Asta made a hand motion for the light swords to attack the chains, keeping them together while effectively neutralizing the attack. Asta then followed up with his next attack, prepared for his last. Light creation magic, oceanic light, says Asta, bringing forth light in a water-like form that comes forth to wash and smash Revshi against the wall behind him. With the attack hitting Revshi full force, he was getting back up, but slowly as the pain came full force. So now, Asta decided to deactivate his medic for his other Grimoire as he picked up the sword and fought the weight. He has the blood to cancel his medic and... Heavy, huh? Asked Asta to himself while raising the broadsword. Well, damn, I guess, begins Asta with a small grin. Reactivate at any time, which is why he can possess not only one, but with a spirit, but two. All that physical training alongside medical training paid off, says Asta, as he ties the last bit of change that came forward, the Grimoire of anti-magic. Revshi saw the outcome of the broadsword and hitting the last bit of his chains as he desperate attacked to Asta. It became clear that he didn't just destroy his mag, but erased as well. He just erased my magic, asks Revshi in a pure shock from seeing all of this. Asta puts away the sword and deactivates his anti-medic to let his medic funnel this through his body now. Now then, let's settle this for Asta to rush forward. As Asta rushed in, Revsha was unprepared as he received a hard fist that impacted his stomach full force, but this time making the man spit up blood. Asta went to give a harsh headbutt to the man's face. This sent the man back further into the wall, unconscious as parts of the wall came falling down as well. With the battle now finished, Asta let himself take in some air as he deactivated his grimoires, only to grab them as Kabir spoke from his subconscious. Well done, Asta, says Kabir, seeing how he handled the fight with Asta nodding. With this said, Asta saw his work and smiled a bit, with a chuckle in his voice. He then went to look his two grimoires with a determined smile on his face and spoke out. With these two grimoires, I'll become the Witch King, says Asta determined. As I said this, you and the two others that were trapped by the chains were free, due to Revsha being unconscious now. Yuno went over to grab his grimoire from the ground as he then turned to Asta. Asta decided to speak on a subject head. Asta, says Yuno, holding his grimoire now, while walking over to him, speak again. Well, you saved me yet again, I'll repay my debt to you one day, says Yuno, walking forward a bit to speak again with a small smile. Asta, we made a promise, do you remember it? Asked Yuno as they both remembered. This caused to perk up a bit, with a calm look on his face as he sighed, rubbed his head a bit while deciding to speak for an answer. To be honest, I actually can't believe that you remember it with the way you've been acting lately. Like I'd be friendly with someone I consider my rival, says Yuno, looking out at the sunset. As did Asta for him, to continue reminiscing on the past that spoke. You showed me it was possible, it gave me hope that even though we're poor orphans, commoners, we could still make something of ourselves in this world. And to prove that, says Yuno as he stopped, to make everyone else and Sister Lily happy, says Asta as he stopped. Flashback. Well, I guess that means, says a young Asta, you are my rival, says the two with a raised tone of voice, while Fiona and Asta fist bumping each other with their smaller faces. And a flashback. We'll fight to see who becomes the Wizard King. Whatever it takes, says both Asta and Yuno now, more excited than ever before for the coming rivalry for a title they both seek to chase. It was not only the start of great honor for two birds and all, but blood, the start of a legendary tale as well. That's the end of this part. I tried to do it later, but a second part of this later, like next week maybe, a week after that. I don't know when the next part of this coming out, because next chapter is pretty long as well. I've already read them, but I like them, so that's why it might be two parts. There's not too far in this series already, but yeah.